Now, okay. Now Vatsala Mami. 2 times Mami.
सुरललनाथ तेयि ततेयि कृताभिनयोधर नृत्यरते कृतकुकुत कुकुतो गडदादिकताल कुतूहलगानरते दुदुकुट दुक्कुट धिन्दिमितध्वनि धीरमृदङ्गनिनादरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरललनाथ तथेयि तथेयि कृताभिनयोधर नृत्यरते कृतकुकुत कुकुतो गडदादिकताळ कुतूहलगानरते दुदुकुट दुःकुटधिन्दिमितध्वनि धीरमृदङ्ग निनादरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते.
Very nice. So we sang this so many times now, right? So we already, so what we all know now what it is trying to.
இந்த வருஷம் என்னோட புக்ல இல்ல, நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டே நான் கத்துக்கிறேன் உங்ககிட்ட.
Oh, அப்படியா?
இந்த இது இல்ல என்னோட புக்ல.
I see. I see. This is a very nice verse because it is an extension of the previous verse. If you remember, the previous verse we said was where Devi is starting to dance. She's about or starting to dance, and uh, her armlets are moving and it is shining, right? All of that was displayed. 1 second. Okay, so the this movement of Devi was displayed there as she is moving and the arrows are flying out, etc. Right? So we saw the previous verse where she is Dhanuranu Sanga Ranakshana Sanga Parispuradanga Natat Katake. So the Katakas are dancing, the armlets, which means she's moving. Now he's moved to the next verse where actual dance itself is displayed. So anybody reading this verse will know it is description of dance, right? Nobody needs to explain to us. Just by the listening to the way the verse is, the words that are used, tatathei, tathei, dhukkuta, dhudukuta, dhukkuta, dhindhimi. So these are sounds of music and dance. Okay, so it's very evident. And as I said, Adi Shankara has hidden many bijaksharas in through this whole work, right? A lot of these bijaksharas, without us knowing what the bijakshara means, that is the beauty of a bijakshara. The akshara, when you chant, it is in a seed form. And what you do by chanting and repeatedly letting it resonate within you, it allows the effect of the bijakshara to sprout in you. What happens to a bija when you keep bija or a seed, when you keep it on fertile soil, you pour water and give it sunlight? What happens to it? It sprouts into a beautiful plant and a tree or whatever, right? Whatever that bija is, the effect of that bija is seen as an output through the plant or the tree that comes out, right? So you put a mango bija, a mango tree comes out. Who puts an apple bija, an apple tree comes out. So in that way, there are bijas that activate certain psychic centers within us, right? We have these chakras, we talk about the 7 chakras, all of that. These are psychic centers or energy centers within a body. And without us knowing, some of these bijaksharas activate some energy centers within us. And when these energy centers are activated, there are different effects it will have in us. It will increase our devotion. It will increase our ability to do dhyana. It will increase our understanding. It will increase our compassion. It will increase the way we see the world. Our ability to see the world will become a little more homogeneous, like we discussed yesterday, right? Not very narrow or constricted. It will become a little more wider. All of these different things can happen. So in this particular verse, there are some bijaksharas also he's placed. Now, the way we read this is there are words that have a meaning. There are words that are just sounds. Like for example, Sura Lalana Tatatheyi Tatheyi Kritabhinayodara Nrityarate. Sura Lalana means there are celestial deities, celestial or apsaras we call, right? So like the apsara, she dances. Sura Lalana Tatatheyi Tatheyi Krita Abhinaya Udara Abhinaya Nrityarate. So with she is not just dancing for the sake of dancing or dancing anyhow. There is abhinaya also. Udara means udara is essentially a container. The belly is called an udara, right? The belly is called an udara, and this is like the abhinaya is contained in the dance that she does. And she is nritya rate. Rate means comes from rati, one to enjoy. So she's enjoying what? The dance. So she's dancing and enjoying the dance. Nritya rate. How she's dancing? Tatatheyi tatheyi. That is the way she's dancing. Okay. And then Kruta kukuta kukutho gadadadika tala kutuhala ganarate. Now that the first one is about the dance. The next one is about the tala. So dance has to be danced to a rhythm, right? So the rhythm is, how is it created? Kukuta kukuto. So the tala goes kukuta kukuta. A certain tala. It's a certain tala or a certain rhythm that she's creating. And she's creating that tala, she is kutuhala ganarate. So she's dancing with a lot of kutuhala. Kutuhala means what? Great joy. Ganarate. And there is music also, that is, so she's involved in the music which is set to a rhythm, and to that rhythm she is dancing. Tatatheyi. And dhudhukuta dhukkuta dhindhimi tadhvani dhira mridanga ninadarate. Now that rhythm is generated by a mridanga. Dhidhi dhudhukuta dhukkuta dhindhimi tadhvani dhira mridanga ninadarate. So the mridanga is creating the tala, and the tala itself has music in it. So there is nada and gana. So what is the difference? Okay, so we'll come to that. Okay, so if you see the three lines, there is dance, there is rhythm, and there is music. Okay, and these three are important from a what do we say? If you have to entertain yourself or entertain somebody, these three have to come together. You need to have music. The music has to be set to a tala, a rhythm, and then you dance to the rhythm. Okay. Now, how she is dancing is saying it is tatatheyi, and the tala goes as kukutha, and then it is coming from the mridanga, which is giving the sound dhudhukuta dhukkuta dhindhimi. Okay. So the interesting thing now, if you visualize, so Devi is dancing here, and the next verse you will talk about Ardhanarishwara, where she is dancing along with Shiva. But here now she is presented as though she is dancing alone. Okay, so this dance that she is doing is essentially a dance of joy. Now remember, where is she dancing? In the battlefield, right? This whole thing is happening in the battlefield. Remember that. This whole she is not going to some studio and saying, okay, can I get one room? I want to do dance practice. She's not doing that. Her dance studio is the battlefield where she is fighting with the asuras. And in the fight, she is this whole fight to her feels like music, and the rhythm is also coming from where? The rhythm is coming from the weapons that are fighting with each other. The it's all metal, right? So there's sounds that are coming. So all of these sounds are like rhythmic music to her, and she's dancing to the tune. Okay. Now, one way of looking at it, we could say, this is the Tamil, we use this quite often. இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் கூட ஈவிரக்கம் இல்லாம இருக்கா அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. கொஞ்சம் கூட ஈவிரக்கம் இல்லாம அப்படின்னா absolutely no compassion or no, are you so stone hearted? So when somebody is like stone hearted, you'll say ஈவிரக்கம் இல்ல. There is no ஈரம். There's no wetness in your heart. So this may seem like people are dying and she's killing asuras and she's dancing joyfully. Right? So it may feel like, what's up? I mean, you are Devi, you're supposed to be the the mother of the universe and all that, and you're killing asuras and you're dancing, and you're joyfully dancing. Ganarate, Ninadarate, and what is the other one? Nrityarate. So Nrityarate, Ganarate, Ninadarate. So rate means you're enjoying. So which means is mother sadistic? She's getting sadistic pleasure of killing people, and oh, so much blood, and wow, it's so great. One more head, let me put it on my mala. So it may seem like that, although it is not. The picture may be a gory picture and she may appear sadistic here, but the idea here is, again, the whole reference is not of killing human beings, right? These are all symbolic in nature, and these are all references to certain aspects within us. And it is to say, whenever within you there is a certain tendency which you want to win over, you win over that tendency, you must celebrate, you must dance, you must, because there is your sankalpa and your sadhana. What is sankalpa? The resolve that I want to get rid of this tendency. Okay. I have a tendency to always, if there are two people talking, I want to go and listen to what they're talking. There is one there is a movie. What is this? I think Salangi, no, not Salangioli. This actor Shivakumar acts as JKB, the singer, and then Sindhu Bhairavi. Sindhu Bhairavi, correct. So in that movie, there is this actor Janakaraj. This actor Janakaraj will have severe this problem that if he's got something, he hears something, he has to tell. He cannot hold it within himself. He has to speak it out. So he is shut into a room where he feels his head is about to burst because he heard a secret or got to know a secret, and he has to hold it. He shouldn't tell somebody. So these are tendencies within us, right? So some tendencies I have to blurt out everything I know. There are some tendencies I must go and listen and gossip over to. There are three people. What are those three people talking? And they're all laughing. Let me go and try to listen to that. 1 second, sorry. So what I'm deciding, I'm making a sankalpa that tendency I am going to get rid of. Okay. And then so when I make a sankalpa, I have to back it up with sadhana. So I pick up a sadhana, I try to observe myself, I try to give it myself some time. I don't go and I try to control or at least regulate the urge within me whenever there are two people talking. A few times I try to keep myself away. See, these days there's this thing called as FOMO. A lot of people carry this fear of missing out. Kids have this a lot these days. Fear of missing out is what if I am not part of a few people doing something? What am I missing? And if I miss out, then I may not be relevant. I may not be respected. Um, I may not be part of that group or community. So this fear of missing out is very much there. This generation particularly, it's very strong. So we try to manage that, regulate that, those compulsions that we have. I must listen to what's happening. Those compulsions I try to regulate. Why? Because I made a sankalpa that I don't want to keep listening to unnecessary things. See, what did Dhritarashtra achieve by Sanjaya getting the ability to see the war? Dhritarashtra is blind. He cannot see the war. And anyways, they are all sitting in they are in Hastinapura, and they can't see the war because the war is happening in Kurukshetra, right? Few of us had come for the yatra. So, Kurukshetra is a little away from where Hastinapura would have been, right? Now, Vyasa came and asked Dhritarashtra, do you want Divya Drishti to see the war? And Dhritarashtra said, no, I don't want, because it's too much. But then later he said, give Divya Drishti to my charioteer Sanjaya so that he can see and narrate to me. During the whole 18 days of the war, what did he gain? He only gained trauma and mental stress. Constantly, what is happening? What happened? Who killed who? What is happening next? What is happening? Who is going? Oh, they are doing this vyuha. He's doing this vyuha. Constantly he's asking Sanjaya what is happening, and his mind is constantly thinking about it, and it's getting anxious, and it's getting more and more traumatized. So at the end of it, he's going to know who's winning, who's dying, who's being killed, and all that, right? So by listening to this, what is happening? You are only increasing. This knowledge is not going to give him any value. It's not by listening to Bhagavad Gita that so Sanjaya also narrated Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. Okay, because Sanjaya got the Divya Drishti. He saw the whole war, but he also saw from the starting Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. From there he saw. Right? That's how it starts. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Ayutsavaha. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kima Kurvata Sanjaya. What are they doing on the battlefield, O Sanjaya? Please tell me. And then Sanjaya narrates what's happening in the battlefield. And then he narrates what Arjuna and Krishna's conversation, which is the whole Bhagavad Gita. So which means Dhritarashtra has heard the Bhagavad Gita also. If you think about it that way, it's not just Arjuna who's heard it. It is also Sanjaya who's heard it, because he had Divya Drishti, and obviously he had not just Divya Drishti, he probably had Divya Shrotra also, which means he could hear it. And he narrated that back to Dhritarashtra. But he didn't find value in that, right? He was wanting to know what is the game plan, who's going to kill who, how are they going to do this, who's today's Senapati, who's going to, all of that is what he wanted to know. What did it give him at the end of the day? It gave him trauma only, constant trauma. So why am I telling all of this? Is because we end up collecting a lot of unnecessary information and knowledge that only causes us anxiety and disturbances and trauma. So can I make a sankalpa that no, I am not going to unnecessarily indulge in any conversation that is not of any relevance to me, or I indulge only in conversations that is beneficial? Chuma the vetti peche, the gossip and all that, I don't want to indulge. Right? I could use that time to do some Bhagavad Chintanam, or read some scriptures, or listen to some pravachanam, or listen to some bhajan, or watch something which is going to elevate my mind. Once in a while we do gappa and all that is fine, but if we feel compelled by it, so this is the thing. So you make a sankalpa, and then when you make a sankalpa and you do sadhana around it, then you win over that tendency. The next time when you're going out, after maybe 30 days, you've done this. Then when you go out, there are a few people talking also, you don't feel like going and indulging into that conversation. That is a victory. That is a victory you've gained. When you gain that victory, then you should dance. Nrityarate. So that is the dance she's talking about. Whenever these tendencies within you, you are taking a sankalpa, you're doing the sadhana, you're winning over the tendency, which is a negative tendency or a harmful tendency, then you should rejoice in that. Why? Because sankalpa and sadhana both are working for you. Right? It is working for you. So it is the grace of the Lord, grace of God, or grace of Devi, or Ambal, or your Ishta, that the sankalpa that you've made and the sadhana that you're doing for that sankalpa to be realized are working for you. So you should rejoice. So Devi is rejoicing. Whenever she is in the war field, whenever an asura is being killed, whenever a negative force is being killed, she is rejoicing in that. Okay, so that rejoicing is required. Why that is required? So that you trust the process. Only when you trust the process will you continue to keep investing yourself in the process. Correct? If I've done certain things a few times and doesn't work, what do? Will I trust that thing that I'm doing? I will not, because it's not giving me the desired outcome. I will change my ways of working, or I'll change my expectation of the outcome, or I'll change the way I'm working. But if it's working, then it's a good thing, right? You've made a sankalpa, you're doing the sadhana, and the desired outcome is coming through. The same thing is happening in the war field. So the Devi's dance there is this dance of joy. Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini. So every verse there is Jaya, Jaya, which means there is victory, victory. She's going victorious over some tendency every time. With every this thing, there is every action, every activity, there is a victory over some desire, some tendency, some compulsion that we have. We are getting over it. Okay, that is one thing. The other thing is it is also indication of movement. We spoke about movement at quite some length, right? At the start of Mahishasura Mardini also we spoke about movement, but this is something that we can always bring back to our mind, which is Devi is movement. Devi is dance. The whole cosmic creation is movement. Movement means what? Movement means dance, or dance means movement. Dance is essentially movement that is done to a music and set to a tala. It is not random movement. It is a movement that is done set to a rhythm and set to a musical composition. That becomes dance. And dance is something that you enjoy and it's joyful. If you're able to see the movement in this creation as dance, right, as Devi's dance, not the dance of, so there are two kinds of dance, we know this. One is Ananda Tandava and one is Rudra Tandava. Okay. Rudra Tandava is out of anger, she will dance to destroy, because the upsurge of negativities are so much that you have to clear off. Right? In people know this, in plantations, when there are a lot of weeds, if a lot of weeds grow in your land, the best way is to burn the whole land. They'll burn it. There'll be good crops also that will be there, but then the weeds will be so much that you have to burn the whole land and then re-sow and restart the whole thing. So that is Rudra Tandava. When the upsurge of negativity is so much, this is what happens to a lot of people also. When you become helplessly bound by compulsions, your desires and your tendencies, you're bound so much, one has to die. and be born again. That's the only way. Unless you have the ability to be here through tapas, through your tapas and sadhana, you burn that within you and then you are able to get over it. Otherwise, a lot of people we know, right? We see people as you age, you will see more older people around you, right? When we are young, you don't see too many old people. When you age, you will realize a lot of people I know have become much older now, and you see them struggling and suffering and not able to even help themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, at an energy level, not able to. So Rudra Tandava, you have to clear and then you have to be recreated. That's the only way out. The other is Ananda Tandava. Ananda Tandava is of joy, right? So there are two kinds of dance that you can experience in this creation. Ananda Tandava is not necessarily the joy that we experience when I get something, oh, I am joyful. When I don't get something, I'm sad. That is not Ananda Tandava. Ananda Tandava is essentially the feeling of joy or just joyfulness or bliss that is always there, irrespective of whatever situation I'm dancing. I've used this term even before, ahaituki. It's a very beautiful term in Sanskritam. Ahaituki means one who is joyful without a reason, without a hetu. Hetu means a purpose. Ahaituki means somebody who is joyful without a purpose, without reason. Children, small kids, you will see like that, right? There's no particular reason, they'll just be joyful. We'll find it funny. Why are they joyful? Why are they jumping around? Why are they so happy? Because as we grow older, we figure out, we've told ourselves that we need a reason to be joyful. சும்மா சந்தோஷத்துல இருந்தனா லூசு அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவா. If you're going around joyfully.
தனக்கு தானே சிஷ்யன் இருக்காரு, என்ன லூசா அப்படின்னு.
So they'll say something's wrong with this guy, right? That's what they'll say. So ahaituki. So Devi is ahaituki. She is joyful just for no reason. So that is the joy that she is blessing us to say that under whatever circumstances can you experience that joy. That joy of dance, that joy of music, that joy of tala, rhythm. Because when your life is in a certain rhythm, you will notice there is joy, there is music in your life. Rhythm means what? Excuse me. Rhythm or tala is essentially movement in a certain coordinated fashion. When there is movement in a certain pattern, that is tala. Right? The word la stands for laya. The word la stands for laya, but the same, when there is no laya, it becomes pralaya. What is pralaya? Pralaya means there is the ending of everything, right? That is what we call as pralaya. Means there is no laya, there is no tala. So when somebody is not breathing and somebody is, how do you pronounce somebody dead when there is no movement, there is no even breath, nothing moves within this person, there is pralaya for that person. The cessation means pralaya, which means there is no laya. Laya is rhythm. So this rhythm is essentially a certain pattern. If you're breathing now, there is a certain pattern of breathing. When you're doing meditation, your breathing pattern is different. When you're sleeping, your breathing pattern is different. When you're running, it is different. When you're in tension, it is different. So there is a laya within us, a natural laya. Right? Now this tala, as long as we recognize this rhythm, As long as we recognize there is a rhythm and we try to associate ourselves with this rhythm within us, then there is experience of this joy. Then there is this experience of this joy, right? When you, just a very simple example, if you sit and do pranayama, for example, right? We do a breathing exercise, pranayama. When we do pranayama, what happens? There is regulation of breath. Your breathing is regulated. The ingoing and outgoing. You have done some exercises, anulom vilom exercises or whatever. You're holding breath and you're doing some exercise. And then after that, after the pranayama exercise, you let go. You don't do anything and you just observe. You will see the breath has come into a certain pattern, a very steady pattern. When that pattern, your body or your breath comes to that steady pattern, your mind also calms down. Correct? The mind comes to a certain calm, and then from that calm, there is a certain joy that will rise. Right? Anyone who's done little pranayama, little breathing, kanna moodindu, anybody who's done this will experience this, and they'll know that when the breath slows down, the mind calms down. When the mind calms down, there is a peace that is there inside. Now, this peace, when in deeper states of meditation, becomes bliss, becomes ecstasy. So, when you experience, so the laya that you're experiencing right now is this laya that is within you only, which is this breath. But there is a laya in this creation. There is a tala in this creation. There is a movement in this creation where there is a pattern. See, the sun rises in the morning, goes up, comes down. There is a laya. There are seasons. There is summer, winter, spring, autumn, all that. There is a laya. The tree grows, becomes a tree, from a seed becomes a plant, becomes a tree, grows big, gives flowers, fruits and all that, and then dies, decays, falls off. There is a laya. In me, I recognize laya throughout the day. Every morning I get up, I do my day's work, I go to bed at night, I sleep off, I get up in the morning, I do that, I sleep. There's a laya. So if you notice, there is laya or rhythm or pattern in everything in life. And the whole effort is to fall in line with the laya of creation. There is a philosophy called Tao. And there was a philosopher by the name Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu was a great philosopher, and this name of philosophy was the Tao. Tao means the flow. In English, direct translation means the flow. The flow means what? This. The flow of creation. There is a certain, and if we become sensitive, when we become calm within our minds, we become this restlessness and anxiety and all of that comes down within our minds, and we just sit in silent observation, we will notice that there is a certain movement or a certain rhythm in creation, because things around you keep happening, right? There are sounds, there is the wind, there is breeze, there is fragrance. All of this, you will see there is this movement, and this movement will happen in a certain pattern, right? If we are observant enough and if we sit through this, you will see there is a rhythm. Even if human beings didn't exist, will this world not exist? We think that we are ruling the world, right? If we go extinct, assume all human beings, the 8 billion human beings go extinct, the world is not suddenly going to vanish, no? The earth. It will still continue. Because it is in rhythm. In rhythm with what? There is a rhythm in creation. And we give it different names. Omkara is a certain rhythm. Omkara has a laya. And then silence. Akara, Ukara, Makara, silence. Akara, Ukara, Makara, silence. There is this laya. And when this is there, when we become very sensitive to this laya of creation, then you are in dharma. This is the flow. This is being in dharma. This is being in tune with creation. This is being in tune. And when you are in tune, then there is an automatic nritya rate. There is this feeling of joy and dance that is there. Now, there is one interesting thing I recognized in this shloka or verse is how it goes is Suralalanata tatheyi tatheyi kritabhinayodara nritya rate. Now, tatatheyi tatheyi. Try to say this and you see which part of your mouth is being used. Okay. Tatatheyi tatheyi. Okay. The next one. Krita kukuta kukutho gadadadikatala kutuhala ganarate. Kukuta kukutho. Which part of the mouth is being used? Just observe. Okay. Then the third one is dhudhukuta dhukkuta dhindhimeta dhvani dhira mridangani nadarate. Dhudhukuta dhukkuta. So if you notice, there are 3 parts of your mouth that are being used. In the first one, tatatheyi, tatheyi, it is the front part. You call it
Dantakara. Dantakara.
the dentals, called as the dentals. Danta, the teeth and the tongue is used, right? Then the third one, the second one is what? Kukutha kukutho. So you're touching the upper part of your tongue. Kukutha kukutho. And the third one is the throat. If you notice, dhudhukuta dhukkuta, you're making sounds from your dhudhukuta dhukkuta dhindhimita dhvani dha 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 dha. The dhakara comes from the throat. So basically, from the front part of your mouth to the back part of your mouth, your whole mouth is now being exercised in this verse. And this is called as Vak Shuddhi. And if you do this verse enough number of times, there will be a definite improvement in our Vak Shuddhi. Or there will be Vak Shuddhi. Means the speech, there will be few things. One is our speech will become better just by the diction, the way we speak or way we say things, and what we say also. Because Vak Shuddhi is not just saying pleasant things, it's also meaning pleasant things. So this is an exercise we can try. We can give it ourselves this thing. And then maybe that sankalpa, this could be a sadhana for that sankalpa where I don't want to go and gossip and listen to what other people are talking, and I want to, indulge in all of these kinds of things of the world. I don't want to do that. This is a great way to take up that sadhana. Why? Because in this verse, Adi Shankara is giving your whole mouth a complete, he's giving exercise to the whole mouth, from the front to the middle to the back, the throat, right? And Vishuddhi Chakra, which is in the throat, is the chakra that is responsible for clear communication, for clear thinking, expression, any form of expression. The Vishuddhi is the base or the primary center for expression. Okay. So this particular verse is very interesting. It talks about dance, it talks about music. Now, if you notice, the other thing that is also indicated is Kutuhala Ganarate, and then Dhindhimita Dhvani Dhira Mridanga Ninadarate. The first one is Gana, which means there is song. The second one is Nada, which is sound. So I said we'll spend a minute or two on the first is Nrityarate, which is dance. The second is Ganarate, which is music. The third is Nadarate, which is sound. So the difference between sound and song is the same thing as what we said earlier. How does something become music to us? When there is something that is set to a pattern and it has a melodious, you have to have a melodious scale, right? See, sometimes you take, so Kalpaka, if you would know, if you take a scale, Amma would also know. If you take a scale and you suddenly do sa, pa, sa, something like that, if you keep going up, down, like that randomly, it will not feel like a song. It is sound only. It is nada. I'm just playing sa, I'm playing shadjamam, I'm playing panchamam, I'm playing madhyamam, and then I'm going down. I'm playing all of these notes, but if I don't play it in a melodious way. I just play these random notes. It can also sound as cacophony. Cacophony means just noise. So for nada to become Gana, there has to be a certain laya. And this laya is what? Pattern. See, laya is not just tala, it is pattern. It is in the way in which you arrange things. That is laya. In the way which you arrange things. See, when you go to the altar, you can keep the flower. If there is altar or the picture or the murti is here, you can keep the flower on the right side also. Why do you keep it in the center? Why do you have to keep it in the center? So that it looks aligned. There is a certain symmetry. Why do you want symmetry? So that it looks beautiful. Why do you want it to look beautiful? So that you are able to take that image and appreciate and bring it in you, so that it increases devotion, so that you brings your mind into a certain calm. A lot of people have this OCD, right? If you actually keep the flower on the right and it's not symmetric, they'll go crazy. Keep the flower in the center. These things will disturb people's minds, right? So we got to be careful with that. But the point is, why do we want to do it in a symmetric way, in a beautiful way, in a way where there is a certain rhythm, a pattern, a laya? Why? Because we resonate with that laya. We then resonate and vibrate in the same form, in the same vibration. And when you vibrate, when there is symmetry outside and you want symmetry on the outside, when you do that in a symmetric way, that symmetry starts coming inside. And that symmetry starts forming, then your energies are also becoming symmetric. When your energies become symmetric, then naturally your mind goes into a very pleasant state, a very peaceful and a joyful state. So this whole process of, when we say dance, music, and the nada and the tala that he's talking about, he's saying that this whole process can be experienced within. And when we chant some of these things, there's also vak shuddhi that happens. And also you feel joyful in the process of whenever there is a sankalpa and a sadhana resulting into an outcome, rejoice. Find that joy. Why? Because Devi's grace is there. If that grace is not there, the outcome will not come. The outcome is not always because of your sankalpa and your sadhana. Remember that. There is a third element of grace which we don't know. Adrishya. That's called the Adrishya substance that is there. Adrishya vastu is important. That is grace. And when that grace comes along, these three put together, then you get the outcome. And then you rejoice. Right? And then we sing this tatatheyi, tatheyi, and all of that. It becomes a natural tune within us. Okay. So
புரியுது குருஜி. அதான் ரெண்டு விஷயம் அதான் ஜஸ்ட் வாண்டட் டு ஷேர். நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி சங்கல்பா இஸ் ஜஸ்ட் இன் த மைண்ட், த தாட். அந்த சங்கல்பாவோட நிறுத்திட்டோம்னா அப்புறம் அந்த சங்கல்பா வேஸ்ட். இட் ஹேஸ் டு ரிசல்ட் இன் தி ஆக்ஷன். ஓகே, ஸோ ஆக்ஷன் மீன்ஸ் அகேன் தேவி ஹஸ் டு கம் இன். The Devi to come into that action, these Bijaksharas has to invigorate those energies so that we are able to do that action. And when we do that action, we really get happiness and the bliss.
That joy.
Right? Ama. The sankalpa nirutha waste adu. And the happiness
has to convert into an action and then
ama. Adu sadhana vandu adukapram dhaan and happiness varudhu. Adu onnu. Rendavathu vishayam neenga sonneenga illaya, the following a pattern, a discipline. என்கிட்ட சில பேர் கேட்டிருக்கா, என்னோட ஆஃபீஸ் கலீக்ஸ் எல்லாமே கேட்டிருக்கேன், உனக்கு போர் அடிக்கலையா, தினம் இப்படி இதே பண்ற, இதே வேலை இப்படியே பண்ணிட்டு இருக்க, போர் அடிக்கலையா அப்படின்னா. I told him surprisingly, I said no, I'm able to enjoy. They used to ask me, aren't you bored of monotony? I said, has sun ever got bored of coming in the east and going in the west? All 365 days, so many billions of years, has it ever got bored? No. It is all the celestial thalam, and நம்ம வந்து சொல்லுவா இல்லையா, you rise with the sun and go with the sun, go to bed with the sun. That is, you are trying to align ourselves with the natural thalam.
Natural thala.
நீங்க சொன்னீங்க இல்லையா, அந்த நேச்சுரல் தாளத்தோட நீங்க அலைன் ஆனேன்னா அது you get that bliss also.
Absolutely. So symmetry, absolutely beautiful, Mama. So symmetry is not only in the way the objects are organized, it's also in the way you align yourself in terms of time. So the way things are organized is symmetric in from an object standpoint. In terms of time, so that's space symmetry. Tala is time symmetry. So space symmetry and time symmetry both needs to be symmetrical for us to be aligned and to be able to feel that joy within us. Right? Then when that alignment happens naturally, there is this conflict and this disturbances will slowly settle down. It will slowly settle down, and the ahaituki, there is some joy that will just come from within. We just feel joyful. Why? Because there is a symmetry. Somewhere there is a symmetry we've brought in our lives, and hence we find this joy that is welling from within. Very beautiful. Thank you, Mama. Thanks a lot. Hari Om, Hari Om. Thank you. Om Kaya Namah Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Swabhava Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Namah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma.
சுந்தர் மாமா, நீங்க கோயம்புத்தூர்ல இருக்கீங்களா?